Did you know that globally, nearly 10% of the world's population lives on less than $1.90 a day? Shocking, isn't it? This stark reality is a bitter pill to swallow, but it's crucial to face it head-on. Poverty isn't just about empty pockets. It's a cycle that traps generations, creating a chasm that seems impossible to cross. But why should we care? Well, breaking this cycle is not just about uplifting individuals, it's also about nurturing healthier, more equitable societies. Now imagine escaping this cycle. Not just surviving but thriving. Seems like a tall order, right? Well, there's a man who did just that. A man who went from counting pennies to building an empire. His name is Robert Kiyosaki, a financial wizard who turned the tables on poverty. But what if we told you that one man, Robert Kiyosaki, managed to break free from this cycle, and he's got some insights to share with us. So who exactly is Robert Kiyosaki, and why should we listen to him? Well, Kiyosaki is a man who knows a thing or two about breaking the cycle of poverty. He's a financial educator, investor, entrepreneur, and the author of the best-selling book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Raised in Hawaii, Kiyosaki grew up witnessing the stark contrast between the financial habits of his educated, yet financially struggling father, and the wealthy father of his best friend. This gave him a unique insight into the financial beliefs and practices of both the poor and the rich. In Rich Dad, Poor Dad, Kiyosaki shares his journey from poverty to wealth. He lays out the differences between his two fathers' financial philosophies, and how understanding these differences can be the key to breaking the cycle of poverty. Kiyosaki's story is not just inspiring, it's a roadmap to financial freedom. Kiyosaki believes that understanding his cash flow quadrant is the first step to escaping poverty. So what is this cash flow quadrant? Picture a square divided into 4 equal parts. Each quadrant represents a different way to generate income. In the top left, we have the E for employees. This is where most people find themselves. You work for someone else, trading your time for money. You're paid for what you do, not necessarily for what you know. Then below E, we have the S for self-employed. These are the folks who own their jobs. They're the doctors, lawyers, consultants, and the like. They're still trading time for money, but they have a bit more control over their income. Let's pivot now to the right side of the quadrant. This is where Kiyosaki says the magic happens. In the top right, we have the B for business owners. These individuals own systems that generate income. They don't need to be present for the money to flow in. They've mastered the art of leveraging other people's time and talents. Finally, at the bottom right, we have the I for investors. These savvy folks make their money work for them. They invest in stocks, real estate, businesses, and more. Their money generates more money even while they sleep. So why is this quadrant important? Kiyosaki believes that moving from the left side to the right side is the key to financial independence. It's about shifting from earning active income, where you're trading time for money, to earning passive income, where your money or your business systems work for you. But it's not a simple or easy transition. It requires a change in mindset, a willingness to learn, and a whole lot of perseverance. There will be setbacks and disappointments. But as Kiyosaki says, the size of your success is measured by the strength of your desire, the size of your dream, and how you handle disappointment along the way. According to Kiyosaki, financial education is the key to wealth. Now you might be thinking, well, of course it is. That's just common sense. But let's take a step back and really think about what that means. In traditional schooling, we're taught the basics: reading, writing, arithmetic. But how many of us can say we were taught the basics of financial literacy? How to save, how to invest, how to make our money work for us? Not many, I'd wager. And this, Kiyosaki argues, is where the problem lies. You see, Kiyosaki believes that the lack of financial education is the root cause of many of the financial struggles that people face today. And he's not just talking about knowing how to balance a checkbook or understanding the ins and outs of a mortgage. He's talking about a deep fundamental understanding of how money works. This includes understanding assets and liabilities. In Kiyosaki's world, an asset is something that puts money in your pocket, while a liability is something that takes money out of your pocket. Sounds simple enough, right? But the reality is that many of us have been conditioned to think of assets and liabilities in a completely different way. For example, most of us have been taught to think of our homes as assets. But as Kiyosaki points out, unless your home is generating income for you, it's actually a liability. It's taking money out of your pocket in the form of mortgage payments, property taxes, maintenance costs, and so on. So, how do we break free from these misconceptions and start building real wealth? It starts with education. It starts with understanding how money works and how to make it work for us. It starts with understanding the difference between assets and liabilities. and making the conscious decision to invest in assets. And it's not just about making money. It's about creating a financially secure future for ourselves and our families. It's about breaking the cycle of living paycheck to paycheck and achieving true financial freedom. Remember, knowledge is the new money. Get some. But knowledge alone won't make you rich. You have to act. And that's precisely the ethos that Robert Kiyosaki embodies. It's not enough to just understand the quadrant of financial freedom or appreciate the power of financial education. The real game changer is action. Kiyosaki often speaks about the importance of taking the leap, of diving headfirst into the world of finance, and learning the ropes firsthand. He stresses that you must be willing to make mistakes, to stumble and fall, because those are the moments that truly teach you. It's like learning to ride a bike. You don't start by reading a manual. You start by hopping on and pedaling away. Sure, you might scrape a knee or two, but that's how you learn to balance. And just like that, you learn to balance your finances by taking action, by investing, by creating streams of passive income, by being proactive in your journey towards wealth creation. Think about it. The richest people in the world didn't get where they are by sitting on the sidelines. They got their hands dirty. They took risks. They invested in stocks, real estate, businesses, and more. They made mistakes, learned from them, and emerged stronger and wiser. But here's the thing. The fear of failure can be crippling. It can hold you back, keep you from taking that crucial first step. And that's where Kiyosaki's philosophy comes in. He encourages us not to be afraid of failure, but to embrace it. To view it not as a setback, but as a stepping stone towards success. It's not about never failing, it's about never quitting. It's about picking yourself up each time you fall, dusting yourself off and marching forward with renewed determination. It's about learning, growing, and evolving with each stumble, each misstep. And most importantly, it's about keeping that fire, that excitement, that hunger for success alive. Because in the end, it's not just about the destination, it's about the journey, the thrill of the chase, the joy of the climb. As Kiyosaki says, don't let the fear of losing be greater than the excitement of winning. So, how can you break the cycle of poverty? That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? Let's circle back to the wisdom of Robert Kiyosaki, the man who has dedicated his life to empowering others with financial knowledge. We've learned from him that understanding the cash flow quadrant is a critical first step. It's about knowing where your income comes from, and more importantly, how to shift from being an employee or self-employed to becoming a business owner or investor. It's like unearthing a secret map to Treasure Island. Only this island is not about shiny gold coins but financial freedom. But knowing the lay of the land is not enough. You need to arm yourself with the right tools. This is where financial education comes into play. It's not about memorizing formulas or becoming a Wall Street whiz kid. It's about understanding the language of money, knowing how to make it work for you, and not the other way around. It's like learning how to fish instead of waiting for someone to hand you a fish. And let's be honest, who wants a handout when you can have a fishing rod? Finally, taking action is the key. Financial freedom isn't a spectator sport. You need to get in the game. Start that business you've always dreamed of. Invest in that stock you've researched thoroughly, or buy that real estate property you've had your eye on. It's about taking calculated risks and learning from your mistakes. Remember, even a 1,000-mile journey begins with a single step. And so, it's time to take that step, to break the cycle of poverty. It's not an easy journey, but it's certainly a rewarding one. Remember, the path to financial freedom is not a race, it's a marathon. It's about consistency and resilience. As Kiyosaki says, the only difference between a rich person and poor person is how they use their time. So, use your time wisely and start your journey to financial freedom today.